Today is World Nature Conservation Day. On behalf of the Department of Zoology, Narasimha College, I welcome you all in this virtual platform to observe the day. This day is celebrated all over the world on July 28th of every year to create awareness about protecting and conserving natural resources. There are so many threats to nature like deforestation, illegal wildlife trade, pollution, using plastics, chemicals, and a lot more. Due to natural imbalance, people are facing threats like various diseases, natural disasters, increased temperature, global warming, and a lot more. A healthy environment must be created to safeguard the present and future generations. It is essential for people to understand that the world is one and anything that is done in one part of the globe will affect the other parts as well. Earth gives us basic necessities to live like water, air, soil, minerals, trees, and animals. So, it is required that we keep our nature clean and healthy and maintain the ecosystems. Today, the students of the Department of Zoology will discuss on the necessities of vulture conservation. Vultures are extremely important members of an ecosystem. These birds clean the environment and help to prevent disease outbreaks, but most of them are now in danger of extinction. Our students will discuss the different aspects of this very serious ecological issue. On World Nature Conservation Day, let us make a conscious effort to conserve nature around the world. But at first, I welcome our respected Principal Madam to deliver her valuable thoughts, which will encourage all of us.
Conservation is a system which is the most important one for the existence of nature. Conservation is not only a word. Conservation is actually part of human existence, natural existence, and human culture. Different processes of conservation is existed from the time of origin of human civilization, and it is depicted in different literature and in different prehistoric records also. And today it is much more important because we, the human civilization, is at the crossroad and we are facing several difficulties due to lack of thinking regarding conservation. So, I would like to thank and congratulate Department of Zoology for taking this kind of venture to share the knowledge among the students and our colleagues what actually conservation is and what it is needed for. Thank you very much again, the organizers, my dear students, and all the teachers of Department of Zoology for their immense effort and their thinking and idea to record and to present this kind of program for the benefit of our society. Thank you.
Hello everyone, myself Ishani Sarkar, a student of BSc Zoology Honours 2nd semester. Now I am going to discuss about conservation, the role of IUCN in conservation of natural resources and the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species. The protection and preservation management or restoration of natural environment and the ecological communities that inhabit them is called conservation. Necessity of conservation. Habitats are in constant state of change to naturally occurring dynamics and human influence. But While natural change can be managed by the Earth's ecosystem, that which is imposed by humans often has devastating or irreversible effects on the environment. The reasons behind conservation are to repair some of the damage of environment done by humans and to maintain species diversity. Habitats need conserving to retain the diversity of plant, bird, mammal and insect population. IUCN, officially known as International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, was established in 1948. It is an international organization working in the field of nature conservation and sustainable use of natural resources. The organization is involved in data gathering and analysis, research, field projects, advocacy, and education. The mission of IUCN is to influence, encourage, and assist societies throughout the world to conserve nature and to ensure that any use of natural resources is equitable and ecologically sustainable. The headquarters of IUCN are in Gland, Switzerland. The organization is best known to the wider public for compiling and publishing the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species. Established in 1964, the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species has evolved to become the world's most comprehensive information source on the global conservation status of animal, fungi, and plant species. It is a critical indicator of the health of the world's biodiversity and provides information about range, population size, habitat and ecology, use and/or trade threats, and conservation actions that help inform necessary conservation decisions.
Hello everyone, myself Nishat Rashid, a student of second semester Zoology Honours. Today I am going to discuss about the 9 different categories of IUCN and Wildlife Protection Act. IUCN divides species into the 9 different categories which are as follows. Extinct species, these are the species which are not found after the searches of known or likely habitat areas where they may occur and extinct from the entire world. Examples are Asiatic cheetah and pink-headed duck. Extinct in the wild, species whose members survive only in artificially supported population for outside their historical geographic range, like in zoo. Critically endangered, species that poses an extremely high risk of extinction as a result of rapid population decline. Examples are black rhino and cross river gorilla. Endangered, these are the species which are in danger of extinction. The survival of such species is difficult if the negative factor continue to operate, such as black buck and Indian rhino. Vulnerable species, these are the species whose population has declined to level from where it's likely to move into the endangered category in the near future, such as blue sheep and Asiatic elephant. Wildlife protection programs by the government. In 1972, a comprehensive Wildlife Act was enacted by the central government of India, which provides main legal framework for the conservation and protection of wildlife, flora and fauna in the country. This act contains 7 chapters, 66 sections and 6 schedules. Let's take a look on the schedules of Wildlife Protection Act. Schedule 1 and 2. It covers endangered species that needed rigorous protection. The species are generated protection from poaching, killing, trading, etc. A person is liable to the harshest penalties for the violation of the law under this schedule. Examples are tiger, cheetah and Kohinoor.
Hello everyone, myself Suchatana Ghosh, a student of BSc Zoology Honours 2nd semester. I am going to discuss about the vulture conservation in India with special reference to West Bengal. Vultures are amazing birds, but they are often misunderstood. The more we learn about the vulture and its contribution to the environment, the more we feel about the necessity of its conservation. At first, we have to know what are the vultures. Vultures are medium to large-sized birds of prey. They are the nature's most efficient scavengers and they can finish off the carcass of an adult cattle in a few hours. Some vultures have very good eyesight and they use these to spot animals' bodies. Other vulture species use a very keen sense of smell to locate their meal. Characteristic of many vultures is a bald head, which helps to keep their head clean when they eat inside animal bodies. It may also help them to regulate their body temperature. Vultures are case-selected species. Their breeding rate is very slow. They lay eggs per year. The eggs have incubation period of 110 days till hatching. They are monogamous and they form pairs. According to the Hindu epic Ramayana, Jatayu is a demigod who has the form of vulture or eagle. Ramayana says that the bird died while trying to rescue Sita, the wife of Hindu god king Ram. There are 9 recorded species of vultures in India. They are white-rumped vulture, slender-billed vulture, cinereous vulture, Egyptian vulture, red-headed vulture, bearded vulture, Himalayan griffon vulture, Indian griffon vulture, and Eurasian griffon vulture. White-rumped vulture is a medium-sized vulture and one of the most abundant large birds of prey in the world. This is the smallest gypsy vulture found in India. Slender-billed vulture is one of the critically endangered species of Old World vulture found in the sub-Himalayan regions of Indian subcontinent. Cinereous vulture is a large raptorial bird found in India, and this vulture is believed to be the largest true bird of prey in the world found in northern India. Egyptian vulture is widely distributed species of small old world vulture found in the northwest part of India. Red-headed vulture or Indian back vulture is found only in the Indian subcontinent. Bearded vulture is found in Himalayas and Ladakh in North India. These vultures are also distributed from Kashmir to Arunachal Pradesh. Himalayan griffon vulture is the largest and heaviest bird found in the Himalaya of Indian subcontinent. Indian vulture are smaller and less heavily built vulture species. This species feeds mostly from carcasses of dead animals and reached up to the verge of extinction because of veterinary drug diclofenac. Eurasian griffon vulture is one of the large birds of prey. They are old world vultures and were made extinct at some point of time. Now let's see why vultures are called social animals. Human race has encountered many viruses like COVID-19. Our rich biodiversity plays a huge role in keeping the germs at check. Vultures, carcass feeders, play a vital role. They hold the key for a natural mechanism of infection control. Acids in their stomach help to kill the pathogen. It invisibly controls the spread of harmful pathogens causing deadly anthrax, cholera, foot and mouth disease, rabies, and distemper. They also prevent the contamination of water sources, especially in the wild. Let's learn about Tower of Silence. A dakma is also known as the Tower of Silence. It is a circular rest structure built by Zoroastrian for extermination, that is, the exposure of human dead bodies to the elements for decay in order to avoid contamination of the soil with the corpses. Usually, vultures and other scavengers would typically consume the flesh and the skeletal remains would have been left in the pit. Now, let's talk about the effect of NSAID on vultures. Diclofenac is a common non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug which is used to treat the symptoms of inflammation, fevers, or pain associated with disease or wounds. This NSAID is fatal to vultures. In South Asia, unintentional poisoning by veterinary NSAIDs has caused catastrophic declines to vultures. Diclofenac was used extensively for domestic livestock, and any animals that then died within 2 days of treatment had highly toxic levels in the tissues that would cause kidney failure and death of any vulture feeding on the carcass. Many gyps vulture species worldwide rely on carrion from dead domestic ungulates as their traditional wild ungulate food sources have disappeared. Following the findings on diclofenac, the drug was banned for veterinary use in India on March 11, 2006. So, what drug can be used instead of diclofenac? Meloxicam can be used instead of diclofenac. It is an eco-friendly vulture-safe drug which is equally effective as diclofenac in treating inflammation and pain in animals.
Hello everyone, myself Ronit Roy, Sem 2 student of Zoology Department, would like to inform you about Vulture Conservation and Breeding Center of India. With the rampant decrease in the vulture population, protection as well as breeding both have become equally important. At present, there are 9 vulture conservation and breeding centers in India, out of which 3 are directly administered by Bombay Natural History Society. The objective of the Vulture Conservation and Breeding Center is not only to look after the vulture and to breed them in captivity, but also to release them into the wild. India's first Vulture Conservation and Breeding Center was set up in Uttar Pradesh, Gorakhpur at Bhairi Vaisi village in Farinda range of the Gorakhpur Forest Division. The project was approved by the Joint Secretary of the Uttar Pradesh Environment, Forest and Climate Change Department. The project gave special importance in conserving Asian king vulture, Pondicherry vulture and the Indian black vulture. The other 2 vulture conservation and breeding centers are Jatayu Conservation and Breeding Center, run under Haryana Forest Department, and Bombay Natural History Society, located at Jodhpur village near Bioshikhargarh Wildlife Sanctuary. And the other name is Vulture Conservation and Breeding Center at Raja Bhatkhawa, West Bengal, run under West Bengal Forest Department near Boxer Tiger Reserve. These both VCVCs concerns mainly to protect the 3 critically endangered varieties of vultures. Vulture Conservation and Breeding Center VCVC of Raja Bhatkhawa, West Bengal concerns much on the protection of the Gibbs genus varieties, including slender-billed, Eurasian species, Himalayan species, white-backed and long-necked varieties. The 3 species of critically endangered, including Himalayan griffon, Eurasian griffon and cinereous varieties, migrate to the place during winters and resides there for few time, are also given special importance. These vultures are protected under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act from poaching, killing, trading. Now let's get an idea on the infrastructural setup inside the vulture breeding center. The new birds brought there are first kept in the quarantine houses for around 45 days to prevent the spread of diseases like bird flu, Ranikhet disease to other birds. Then they are brought to the main aviary and kept until they are 4 to 5 years old. The center also has 5 nurseries which can bear up to 20 nestlings at a time. A nest-like environment is given to the young ones until they grow big enough to be shifted to the colonial aviaries. Vultures are case-selected species, that means their breeding season is short enough, and lays only 1 egg yearly, which needs around 110 days for incubation. Newly hatched nestlings are also reared in the brooder room. The center has 2 large colony aviaries to house adult and sub-adult birds. Enough spaces are rented to exercise flying around. They are open to sky with a netlon mesh on the top. There are also windows which have chain-linked mesh bordered by bamboo. Wooden perches are also available where the birds can sit on. Water are kept in the troughs. The entire room is under CCTV surveillance. Food security also forms one important aspect to look upon, as the vulture's breeding season depends upon the available food. 4 kg of the food is provided twice a week, which constitutes about 5% of body weight. The provider of the food is not revealed to the vultures in order to prevent their wild nature. Food, which includes meat of buffaloes, cattle, and other animals, are preserved in the walk-in freezer at around -16 to -20 degrees Celsius. The food are properly examined to confirm zero toxic level and harmful chemicals before being provided. The entire area is protected by energized fence through which around 11 kV of electricity flows to keep away grazing and wild animals. They run by solar panels. To monitor everything, CCTV and advanced cameras with 355-degree tiltation capacity and about zooming power up to 27x are also installed in the office room. Hospitals are built to accommodate around 2 pairs of vultures for the proper treatment of diseased birds. Hematology on the vulture's blood is done in the labs under powerful microscopes. When a species experiences verge of extinction, a bit of good news is a cause of celebration. 6 Himalayan griffon were released from the aviaries of the Vulture Conservation and Breeding Center of Raja Bhatkhawa, West Bengal last year, returned to the center recently with a flock of rare species of vulture from far-off Nepal and Pakistan. Forest officials were elated at such landmark event. In January 2021, 6 more griffon vultures were released. They were fitted with PTT, platform terminal transmitter devices, to monitor their movement. They were seen flying off far away to Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh and Kazakhstan. They recently returned, retracing their path with a host of new white-backed and slender-billed near-extinct species. Enthused by the result, the Forest Department have even planned to release 8 more from the aviaries soon. In recent years, there has been a considerable rise in the number of vultures in the region, which can be seen even with naked eyes. Raja Bhatkhawa has indeed opened a new horizon in the sphere of vulture conservation in the country. VCVC of Raja Bhatkhawa is moving ahead with the mission of releasing 100 pairs of each of the 3 species of vultures in the next 15 years to establish and secure viable wild populations of gyps vulture in the environment free from diclofenac and other poisons. Their future plans include to breed around 20 nestlings every year, to monitor potential release sites for reintroduction of the vultures in the wild, and also to educate the public decision makers and the stakeholders about the role of the toxic drugs on the bird's health and to ensure the availability of the safe drug. Our department pays great tribute to such a remarkable deed.
Very nice presentation by our students of second semester. I, Dr. Shukla Mukherjee, on behalf of the Department of Zoology, thank our Principal Madam, Dr. Shoma Bandyopadhyay, for always inspiring us in celebrating such special days. I thank our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Kuntal Chattopadhyay, for his valuable suggestions. I thank our head of the department, Dr. Shampa Sarkar, for taking the initiative in organizing such a wonderful program. I thank Mr. Shomo Chakraborty, Center Manager and Scientist C of Vulture Conservation and Breeding Center, for sharing with us their magnificent work on conservation and breeding of the scavenger birds, which are very helpful for the society. I thank all the teachers of the department for their support. I thank the students of second semester who, in spite of their examination ahead, participated wholeheartedly and delivered a superb presentation. I thank Professor Dr. Shubhrata Kumar Basu and Dr. Shutirtha Sarkar for organizing the whole program. I also thank Dr. Shutirtha Sarkar and his team for the technical support in compiling the whole program. Thank you all.